Okay. What would you have?
Okay, how are you? Hi. Funny running into you here.
Moshe Rabbeinu? Yeah, poor guy. Oh, really? Looks good. Oh. It holds up. It holds up. Yeah, I think. I used to watch it like every year when I was little. Yeah. Right. I did. Yeah, I also watched The Greatest Story. That was like the Jesus story.
Oh, did I say Aryan? I meant
That used
Rex.
to be on Easter also. It was like back to back, like 10 Commandments and then you're like, oh, that's a compelling story.
Morning, 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 morning.
Theta!
Just make it up as I go, Wendy. You're learning how to live with that.
Gosh, that sounds familiar.
You are subtly brutal.
Boker Tov.
Boker Or, Rabbi.
Do we have everyone this morning, or are we still waiting on some people?
It does feel like everybody's moving a bit slowly.
All right.
What? What did you say?
It feels like people are moving a bit slowly this morning.
Huh.
And the sun is shining, I know.
Sun is out. We can see the colors from up here. They look beautiful. They're casting light all around the sanctuary. Makes me so happy to see the sun out this morning and to see all of you. And we are going to get started with Hine Matov, saying how good it is for us to be together this morning.
Hine
Matov
Matov
umanayim sheve'achim gam yachad. Hine matov umanayim sheve'achim gam
I'll go
yachad.
first, repeat after me. How good it is.
How good it is.
How sweet it is.
How sweet it is to be together on this day.
How good it is.
How good it is.
How sweet it is.
How sweet it is to be together on this day. Hine matov umanayim sheve'achim gam yachad. Hine matov umanayim.
Shevet Achim Gam Yachad.
Okay, so we still have some sleepies this morning, so let's go ahead and raise our hands over our heads and stretch, and let that pull us out of our seats and stand for the Baruch Hu, our call to worship.
I'm feeling trilly.
I know.
La 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 la. Come on, everybody, raise those voices. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach Baruch Adonai HaMevorach HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed HaMevorach HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed.
And now we turn to the Shema, the watchword of our faith, and let's bring our arms, stretch them out, and stretch them over your heads. And then we're going to bring our hands down over our eyes to cover our eyes so we can focus on the fact that God is our God and God is one.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam
You may be seated. Miss Wendy, do you have a Ve'ahavta for us this morning?
Oh, I'll just pull one out of my hat. You shall love the Lord your God
with all your soul
and with all of your might. Hold on tight as you go. Teach them what you know. Teach them as they grow. Teach them so they know. Teach them so they know.
Cantor Purper, it is time for Micha Mocha. This is our prayer, thanking God for freedom. The Israelites were overjoyed as they crossed from Egypt in slavery to the other side of the sea in freedom. So join along and sing with us, especially during this Pesach season. And we are so excited and very excited to be free today and thinking about that for others.
May the spirit of our voices reflect how we feel about the coming holiday and redemption and deliverance. Let's sing. Who's like you? Come on, who's like you? Who's like you? Who's like you? Just the parents now. Who's like you? Yeah, who's like you? Who's like you?
Very spirited, very much in the spirit and joy of Pesach. We are going to rise. It is now time for tefillah, the tefillah. So we'll rise for Adonai Sifatai to get our bodies ready for tefillah. We'll take a couple steps back, and then when we're ready to pray, we'll take a couple steps forward and step into the intention for tefillah.
Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Ta Adonai, Eloheinu, ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei Hakol, V'Zocher Chastei Avot V'Imahot, Umevi Geula Livnei V'Nehem, Lema'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer Umoshia Umagen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham Ve'ezrat Sarah. Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayei hakol atah rav lehoshia, Mechalkel chayim bechesed, Mechayei hakol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim ve'rofei cholim, Umatir asurim, umekayim emunato, lishenei afar, micha mocha ba'al gevurot, umido melach, melech meimit umechaye, umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman atah lehachayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, mechayei hakol.
And we'll take a moment now for silent meditation, for the words that are in your hearts. So I invite you to close your eyes if that's helpful, and think about the prayers and the words that are in your hearts for a moment, and then we'll come back together with O Say Shalom. When you're finished with your prayer, please take your seat.
Ose shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Ose shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Ose shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu. Ya'kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu. Ya'kol Yisrael. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu.
Well, Boker Tov, everyone.
Boko!
It is so good to be together this morning with the sun shining through the roof. Isn't that beautiful to see? It is springtime, which means the holiday of Passover is coming up. Who knows what an essential element of Passover is? One of the most important things that we have. What is the most important thing we can do during Passover? Anybody? Yeah. Find the matzah. That is so important. Who usually finds the matzah? You guys? Well, your hands are up. You usually find the matzah. It is so important to find the afikomen. What about, what other really important things is there? Yeah, go ahead, in the back. To tell the story. But you know, when we tell the story, something has to come first. It has to come before we tell the story. That's a good answer. Yeah. You eat matzah, but you do it during the story. Use it to tell the story. That's a good answer also, yeah. You got it. Ask questions. That is the most important thing that we can do during the Passover Seder. Now, how many of you ask the questions during the Passover Seder? Usually, the people who ask the questions are the smallest and the youngest at the table, which shows that nothing can happen at the Passover Seder until the smallest of you ask questions. Sometimes the smallest or the youngest can be the most important. I want to tell you a story that happened a long time ago. Have you ever heard the name King Solomon? King Solomon was one of the wisest kings that there ever was. And he was so wise, so brilliant, that he had the ability to talk to animals, every creature, large and small. Solomon could have conversations with them. Well, one day, King Solomon was asleep in his garden, very asleep, and a little bee was flying around and landed on King Solomon's nose, thinking that his nose was a little bud, like a little flower. Well, that bee was on his nose, and King Solomon woke up with a start, and the bee got scared, and you know what the bee did? It stung King Solomon right on the nose. Well, King Solomon woke up with a yell. Ah! He said, "What have you done? You've stung me right on the nose." And the bee, the little bee, said, "I am so sorry, King Solomon. It was a terrible mistake. I didn't mean to do it. I promise you that I'll make it better. I promise you one day, if you do nothing to me, I will repay you. I will do something really important for you, I promise." Well, King Solomon heard the little bee, and you know what he did? He started to laugh. He started to laugh because he had a good nature, and he thought, what could this little bee possibly do for me? Well, many years passed. King Solomon, his reputation was world-renowned. People heard about King Solomon all across the world, including the Queen of Sheba, who was this beautiful queen. Her beauty and her wisdom was legendary all across the world. And she said, you know what? I want to go meet this King Solomon, and I'm going to test to see how wise he truly is. Well, the word was sent to King Solomon. King Solomon was awaiting Queen Sheba, and a big, giant parade came with Queen Sheba to meet King Solomon. It was a parade that was filled with young people, each one holding a bouquet of flowers. Well, Queen Sheba marched right up to the throne of King Solomon at the end of this parade, and she said to the king, she said, I have heard about your wisdom. It is renowned far and wide, just as mine is. But I have got a test for you. You see all of these young people holding flowers? All of them, but one is fake. Every flower, every rose, every lily is made of material, but only one is real. Can you tell me which one it is? King Solomon took a look out at the flowers, and there was nothing that indicated to the eye which one was fake and which one was real, until a little buzzing sound was heard next to King Solomon's ear, and the little bee said, all those years ago, you showed me some kindness. I am going to repay you. And the little bee went flying around the parade, and finally it went and landed on a single rose. King Solomon saw the bee land on the rose and realized that that was the true flower, and said to Queen Sheba, your flower is right over there. The Queen of Sheba couldn't understand how King Solomon had learned that that was the true flower, but she respected the beauty of his wisdom. Sometimes in our lives, it doesn't mean that the most important and the most significant and those that can help are the largest or the biggest. Sometimes the smallest among us can make real change. Can I tell you the most important thing that you need to know in order to make change? Can anybody guess what that is? As young people, as people that are moving forward, what's the most important thing that you can do? Think about it. You're going to do it hopefully at the Seder. What do you think that is? Yeah. That's a good answer. All right. Yeah. What's the most important thing that you can do to make change in the world, and what you're going to do at the beginning of the Seder? If you're a young person, what are you going to do? Ask questions. Asking questions is the most important thing that you can do in order to make change in the world. So today, when you enter into your Sunday school classes, remember to ask questions. Remember that it doesn't matter how big or how small you are, that you can make change in the world, and you can do something wonderful. Well, we are going to celebrate all those wonderful things this week for Passover, but we're also going to celebrate birthdays. So if you have a birthday, either this week, this past week, or the week to come, or even the week to come after that, since we have no Sunday school next week, please come on up and open up our ark doors as we rise together for the Aleinu. All the birthdays, come on up. That's you guys. You guys ready? Would someone open up the ark door?
Can I open the ark too?
Yeah, go ahead. All right, go ahead. Open it up. Somebody open up their curtains.
Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon hakol, la'ted gedula le'yotzer breshit, shelo asanu kegoye ha'aratzot, velo samanu kemishpechot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, vegor aleinu kechol hamonam. Va'anachnu koreim ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
All right, thank you, and Yom Haledet Sameach to all of our birthdays. I'm glad you guys are celebrating another trip around the sun. We are now going to turn to memory as we think of members of our community, those who have passed into life eternal. Particularly in our hearts and minds, we are thinking of Lorraine Mitz, Bella Bornstein, Leonard Dunn, Linda Fine, Howie Hirsch, Sherwin Cabins, and Jeff Makovich, for whom we mark the period of Shiva and Shloshim. If you are remembering a loved one this morning, whether it be their yahrzeit or whether they were left off this list or they needed their names to be pronounced differently, please do call those names out loud as I look in your direction. In addition to the names of our loved ones, we think of all those who've died due to war and or terrorism, all those who've died due to this terrible virus that has stricken our nation and our world, all those who perished during the Holocaust. Our griefs and sympathies are mingled as we turn to the words of Kaddish Yatom, the mourner's Kaddish. We recite these words together. Yit gadal v'yit kadash shmei rabba, v'alma tivrach chirutei v'amlich malchutei, B'chayechon uvyomechon uvchaye dechol Beit Yisrael ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru Amen. Yehei shmei Rabba mevorach leolam ulamei amaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei dekudesha brichu la'ela min kol birchata v'shirata Tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran bi'alma v'imru Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. May the source of peace and peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved. And let us say, Amen. You may be seated. We're going to turn now to our announcements for the morning. Is Brian here? There you are, Brian.
Boker Tov, everyone. Thank you, 5th grade. That was great. It's so great to be here and see everyone all together. Last week I was on a field trip with our older students and didn't get a chance to be here for the first time that we all gathered together. And so I didn't get a chance to say how wonderful this is. I'm sure Rabbi Noah and Rabbi Pozlowski shared that last week, but it really is great to see all of your faces and all of us here filling up the sanctuary. So a few quick reminders and announcements. Pickup is still the same way it has been before. 3rd through 7th grade will get picked up in the Circle Drive. 2nd grade and younger will get picked up in Clorfeld, and any older students will meet their younger siblings in Clorfeld Hall. So pickup has not changed with this new setup. Next week there's no school. Pesach starts Friday night for first Seder. Saturday night, second Seder, there will be a pre-recorded Seder that you can join us for. And building on what Rabbi Noah said about asking really good questions, I'm looking for a volunteer or a few volunteers to help ask the 4 questions at that Seder. So if you feel confident in the 4 questions, or even in one of the 4 questions, and would want to be recorded for that Seder, tell your teacher or come find me right after services, and we'll record you, and you can be part of Congregation Shalom's second Seder. And if there's more than 4 people, that's great. We will have multiple people say the questions together. So find me or your teachers. We'd love to have you do the 4 questions. We're back in 2 weeks on the 24th, and then a few things coming up in the long-term future. On May 6th, Friday night, May 6th, is our Siyum HaSefer for our 3rd graders to celebrate them finishing their first year of Hebrew learning. So that will be a really wonderful family Shabbat. It would be great to see all of our families there to help celebrate and honor our 3rd graders for the hard work they've done this year in learning their Aleph Bet and their vowels. It's really not easy to do, and they've worked really, really hard. We'll also be honoring our teachers that night and thanking them for a wonderful year of teaching through a really difficult year also. So help us honor them. And finally, on May 22nd is our last day of school. It will be a family day. So I hope all of you will join us for that day. We'll have a concert from some of our youngest students. We'll have a family program that we will all be able to work on together. And it will be great to end our year as one large group. So I hope to see all of you then. So Boker Tov, and do we have a song? We do. Oh, yeah. Is it this one that's up on the screen?
I'm hoping it is.
Yes, that's helpful.
That's right, please rise. They're listening so good. Ojavo Shalom Aleinu, Ojavo Shalom Aleinu, Ojavo Shalom Aleinu ve'al kulam. Ojavo Shalom Aleinu, Ojavo Shalom Aleinu, Ojavo Shalom Aleinu ve'al kulam. Salam Aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam, salam, salam Aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam, salam. Okay, just you. Take it. Ready? Go. Ve'al kulam. Well done. Have a great morning.
Boker Tov, everyone. Have a great day. Do you know which do you have for that? Yeah, third grade first, and then 4th. Nope, 3rd grade is upstairs, the first room behind Andy. 4th grade is in the boardroom. Downstairs, in the back. Yeah. Okay.
How was movie night?
Well, the pizzas were as on time as they were last Friday for Rabbi Noah. So we brought everyone in here, and Rabbi Noah and Cantor stalled and stretched and dragged out Havdalah, and